Route 15 is known for its strength boulder puzzles, which are, well, they're a bit more complex than what we've seen thus far, but it still comes nowhere close to crap like the Seafoam Islands, for one. So you want to go down there, be very careful to not get yourself in a dead end, put it in a corner, otherwise you're going to have to leave and come back and try again. So I got the upgrade there, which... I was about to say upgrades Porygon into Porygon 2. I guess that is true, but the word I was actually looking for was evolution. So, Route 15, I don't know about you, but I think it's got kind of a Sinnoh feel to it, with the fog and the cliffs and stuff. And, well, of course, the fog... well, that was unexpected, but yeah, the fog isn't so thick that you need an HM to see through it, even though, you know, it's perfectly possible to see through the fog in Diamond, Pearl, Platinum without the defog HM to start with, but sometimes it just makes things a lot easier. So what I was intending on talking about today is, well, I have already talked several times about the luck factor in Pokemon, especially competitive Pokemon. However, one thing that I don't think I've ever mentioned is that, well, I read a thread on Smogon relatively recently, which basically suggested that... Well, better start at the beginning for those of you who haven't seen my video about the stat weighting that's used by Smogon. Basically, what's used on Pokemon Showdown is a ranking system called Glico, where a new player will start at 1,500 points. I don't know why the system was designed with 1,500 as the starting point. And it's not just a Pokemon Showdown thing either. It's a universal thing among all those things that use the Glico ranking system. But yeah, you gain points when you win and you lose points when you lose. And the amount of points you can gain or you can lose depends on the skill of the opponent, or rather his ranking compared to your own. So if you fight a player that's a lot better than you, then you won't lose many points for losing, but you are going to gain a lot if you win, since you're far less likely to win. And the reverse is true if you face an opponent that is much lower ranked than you. Now, the idea that I've read was that that point loss or gain could be altered depending on how much luck is involved in a specific game. However, and while I think the notion, you know my feelings on the really stupid bans that can potentially be enforced, and I really think some of them are really stupid, especially when it comes to evasion. But although I don't really agree with the idea of altering the ranking system itself based on luck, I at least find the concept a little intriguing. I think that's the word I'm looking for here. The big problem is that you cannot accurately quantify how luck can affect a game. And furthermore, if luck does affect a game, you can't quantify its impact. For example, I think we've all experienced completely unnecessary criticals when the opponent was almost dead anyway. So, how do you go about quantifying that to begin with? How important a specific example of luck is? And furthermore, the points you lose or win are the same whether you lose 6-0 or 1-0. So, the fact that, for example, an element of luck that may make the difference in killing a particular Pokemon but wouldn't have affected the outcome of the battle itself would simply end up robbing points out of the person who won. And I just picked up the Venoshock TM, which has 65 power, but is doubled to 130 when the opponent is already poisoned, making it a stronger hex that only works when the opponent is poisoned, as opposed to simply having status altogether. And, of course, it's also poison type, which makes it fundamentally useless. So, although it shares a similar name to Psyshock is definitely far more useful. So, yeah, what I was trying to get at before was that it's just about impossible to quantify the luck factor in a game that would be fair for everyone, and basically this is why such a concept could never work, and I hope it's seriously not being considered, which it is not, by the way. Don't panic, it's just a suggestion one person made, but I think it could make for some, interesting theory crafting opportunities. But otherwise, yeah, it's not a very good idea. It's as flawed as the basic notion of over a long period of time a player will have as much good luck as bad luck. As much as relying on that is a bit flawed, it's still by far the best way to handle things, because you don't want to have to end up removing an arbitrary number of points from someone. Especially considering the fact that, well, how many points would you take away from someone who won because of hacks? Will you take away half of them, a quarter, most of them? It's just ridiculous to try and think about it, so it's a good thing that it's not even being considered. Okay, so what we got here? An Ultra Ball. I was sort of hoping for a rare candy, since all those I have, well, I'm going to be gobbling them down pretty soon, since I'm almost at the point where I'm going to be facing the super bosses. So I'm going to be doing my usual thing when I get there, of eating all the rare candies I have, eating all the vitamins I have, buying some more vitamins if I need to, and that's going to be no problem because I have the money for it. Seriously, one of the best things Generation 5 did, well, maybe not one of the best things, because if you made a list of everything good that Generation 5 brought to the series, you'd have a pretty long list. But something that I really like about Generation 5 is that it added a digit to the amount of money that you can carry. So it goes from 1 million to 10 million. Well, -1, but it's just shorter that way. So that way, I wonder, it would be so hilarious if you could, go back to Kanto somehow with that big enlarged wallet and go to Cerulean City and go see that guy who tries to sell bikes for $1 million and you can't carry it because the max is just one below. And, oh yeah, you want $1 million for a bike, thinking that, you want to keep that bike so badly that you set an amount of money that no one can pay? Well, here you go. $1 million. Here, have a slight fraction of what I made in the Abyssal Ruins, and, go buck wild, have fun. Of course, no bike is worth $1 million, but it's more the game that I'd be trolling rather than the guy himself. But, yeah. Now, I'm going to be keeping Lilligant on the sidelines, because I only have, 3 or 4 Pokemon trainers left to fight in the entire game before fighting the super bosses, so I'm going to try and make optimal use of my rare candies by having my Pokemon be at the start of a level as much as possible. Because, well, you might be thinking, that's a lot of work that goes into optimizing the use of these rare candies. But let's be honest here. At this point in the game, you need several tens of thousands of experience points in order to reach the next level. So, what I want to avoid is being in 5,000 experience points away from a level up and using up a rare candy just for 5,000 experience points when I could use it to give me 20,000 instead. And there's also the fact that I wait all the way until I'm almost done with the post-game until I eat them down. Well, that's because if you eat 5 rare candies early on in the game, well, those experience points that you gain by going from level 20 to 25, I don't have really the charts, the experience charts in front of me, but these would be worth only a few thousand points for all 5 rare candies, whereas later on in the game, I can really get a lot more experience than that for a single rare candy as we reach the other side of the Marvelous Bridge. But yeah, that's why I am so anal about optimizing the use of my rare candies. So what do we got here? No, I don't have a Ditto, and yeah, she's the one who wants to trade a Rotom for a Ditto, and it's the only way you can obtain a Rotom in this game. So if you don't have a Ditto, well, you're shit out of luck. Of course, you can use the appliances in the Shopping Mall 9 to change the Rotom's form afterwards, even though it's not your own, it makes no difference. So, right here, in this building, is the Poké Transfer feature that's used for transferring Pokemon from Generation 4 to Generation 5. Of course, once again, it's not a straight-up transfer. You have to play a little mini-game in order to catch those Pokemon again. And yes, I do have all the gym badges. It's not that big a deal, but okay. I mean, seriously, my team's in the 70s. I'd be a pretty sorry excuse for a trainer if I didn't have all the gym badges at this point. I wonder what happens if you come here by using a walk-through walls code or something, where you come here before having all the badges. Is the dialogue the same? Have they predicted that someone could potentially use a code to get here? But, yeah, so, yes. Oh my god, these folks are so easily impressed. It's not even funny. Jesus! Oh my god! He's even more psychotic than that woman here. So, Professor Andrew Park. I'm not entirely sure if the name is supposed to mean anything. But yeah, the Poké Transfer, once again, allows you to transfer Pokemon from Generation 4 to Generation 5. Of course, you need 2 DSs, or 1 DS and 1 3DS, or even 2 3DSs in order to do that. So, I hope you got a friend that will help you if you only have one. But yeah, of course, since I'm using an emulator, you won't see the minigame. You can always use the search function on YouTube, type in Poké Transfer, and you're going to get a pretty good idea of what it is. I haven't done it in a while, so I'm not sure I am good enough to explain what to do, and, Jesus, this guy, I swear, so easily impressed. So, is there anything past that text here? Just remember, muy importante. Thanks for the random bit of Spanish here. And, yeah, of course you can't send it back to Generation 4. But, yeah, one thing is that you cannot send the Pokemon with items. Their excuse is that it's for safety reasons, but I think it has more to do with the fact that the TM system and the way they work was completely overhauled. So I'm gonna pick up Zekrom here and replace Lilligant with it, since it's already level 72. And, yeah, so it pissed off a lot of people that you couldn't transfer, like, berries and stuff, and it basically forces you to use the Dream World to get those items that you will have a hard time getting in this game. Which is annoying, because the Dream World sucks. In fact, I don't think it's ever been updated since Black and White 2 came out. So, as a result, I don't think they're going to be making it a big focus in Generation 6. That is, if they decide to bring it back at all. So, that is going to be all for today. So next time we're going to complete the regular trainer part of this game. Then we're going to start fighting the super bosses.